You spent your entire life fighting to protect something that never existed. Ramana Maharshi discovered this at age 16, when he had an experience that would change everything. He realized that the I you defend, the I you feed, the I you suffer for, is a ghost. A ghost you embrace as if it were real. If you've ever felt like you're living someone else's life, even though you're yourself, what comes next will show you why. Because maybe you've never known who you really are. Imagine you're in an argument. Someone questions something you did, and you immediately feel that tightness in your chest. Anger rises. The urgent need to defend yourself, to prove you're right. Right now, who's being attacked? Who needs such desperate defense? Ramana Maharshi, still a teenager, was struck by this question when he was afraid of death. He lay down and asked, "Who will die?" And he discovered something that changed everything. The body could die, thoughts could stop, but there was something there. A pure consciousness, observing everything, that remained untouched. If this has ever happened to you, that feeling of being a stranger in your own life, what comes next will reveal the truth you always knew but never wanted to face. The ego is a collection of memories, stories, hurts, and pride that you've gathered together and said, "This is me." It's like a photo album you carry around, believing the photos are you. You introduce yourself by saying, "I'm Maria, I'm a lawyer, I'm divorced, I'm a strong person." But take a deep breath. Who's saying that? Who's watching this Maria? Who knows she's a lawyer? Ramana called this I thought, the first lie that contaminates everything. Because before you are anything, you simply are. You exist. You are conscious. And this consciousness that observes all your roles is none of them. Think about it. You were once a child, a teenager, and now you're an adult. Your body has changed, your thoughts have changed, your beliefs have changed. But there's something inside you that has remained the same for as long as you can remember. Something that's always been there, observing every change. Could it be that this something, this pure consciousness that has never changed, is not more you than all the masks you wear? The truth is brutal and liberating. The you protect does not exist. It never existed. You are not your thoughts. You observe them. You are not your emotions. You feel them. You are not your body. You inhabit it. You are not your story. You carry it. Ramana discovered that we are like actors who have forgotten they are performing. You identify so much with the character that you forget the actor. The actor never dies when the character leaves the stage. The actor is never hurt when the character suffers. But you live as if the character were real. You defend your opinions as if they were you. If someone criticizes your work, you feel like they're attacking your soul. If someone rejects your personality, you feel like they're rejecting your existence. What if all this stuff you call me was just a costume you forgot you were wearing? What if the person you really are was waiting silently for you to finally take off that costume? Ego is not your enemy. It's just a case of mistaken identity. Like someone waking up from a dream and taking a few seconds to remember where they are. Ramana said the most powerful question is not what am I, but who am I? Because when you really investigate, you discover that all the answers are just clothes. And underneath all the clothes, you simply are. If you've made it this far, you might be ready for a question that could change everything. Who is reading these words right now? Who is understanding them? Who is feeling them? In the next video, we'll discover how the ego deceives you every day with whispers that seem like absolute truths. Because recognizing the ghost is just the first step. Now you need to learn how it manipulates you. You think your thoughts are your own, but what if I told you that you are being hacked all the time by a voice that is not yours? Ramana discovered that the ego is like a mental parasite that feeds on your attention. It whispers lies in your ear 24 hours a day, and you believe every word because the voice seems to come from within you. If you've ever wondered why your own decisions sabotage you, get ready. Because you're about to find out who's really in charge of your mind. It's Monday morning. You wake up and immediately hear, another day at work you hate. You haven't even gotten out of bed yet and your mood is already in the dumps. In traffic, everyone is happier than you. Look at that couple laughing. You'll never have that. At the meeting, they'll find out you don't know what you're doing. Better keep quiet. At night, alone. You wasted another day. Everyone is moving on and you're still in the same place. Do you recognize these voices? Of course you do, because they've been in your head for so long that you think they're your reflections. But Ramana had a devastating question. Who's listening to these thoughts? If you can observe this critical voice, are you it? Or are you the one observing it? The ego is an expert at 3 lies that keep you trapped. First lie, you are your thoughts. The ego whispers, you're stupid, and you believe it's your own conclusion. But think, if you were your thoughts, how could you observe them? How could you disagree with them? Ramana said you can see your thoughts passing by like clouds in the sky, but you are not the clouds. You are the sky. Second lie, you have to be someone special. The ego is never satisfied with who you are now. It whispers, when you lose weight, you'll be happy. When you get that job, you'll feel fulfilled. When someone loves you, you'll feel complete. It's a carrot dangling in front of you, making you chase after who you already are. Third lie, others define your worth. The ego turns you into an emotional beggar. If he didn't text you back, it's because you don't matter. If she didn't compliment you, it's because you failed. If they didn't include you, it's because you're unloved. You give your power away to anyone who crosses your path. But here's what Ramana realized. This voice that speaks these lies, it never stops. It's never at peace. It's never satisfied. Doesn't that tell you something about its nature? The truth that will set you free. The ego isn't you trying to protect yourself. The ego is a suffering addict that needs drama to continue existing. Think about it. When you are genuinely at peace, happy, present in the moment, the critical voice disappears. The ego only exists when there is conflict, when there is a problem, when there is something to resolve or someone to judge. The ego is like a desperate salesman trying to convince you to buy solutions to problems he himself created. He makes you feel insecure and then offers you the mask of superiority. He makes you feel empty and then offers you the compensation of success. He makes you feel alone and then offers you dependence on others. Ramana called this I thought, the first thought that contaminates all others. I am insufficient, I need more, I am unloved. But who is this I that needs so much? Here's the ultimate test. The next time you hear that inner voice judging or pressuring you, stop and ask, who's listening to this? You'll discover there's a quiet space, a calm awareness that simply observes all this mental drama without being affected by it. Ego is not your enemy. It's a false alarm that has been ringing for so long you've forgotten you can turn it off. Freedom doesn't come from silencing the voice. It comes from recognizing that you are not it. When you realize you can observe your thoughts, you automatically separate yourself from them. And in that separation, you find who you truly are. Ramana said that the question, who am I, doesn't need an answer. It needs investigation. Because every time you really look, every thought, every emotion, every story that you call I dissolves, leaving only the pure awareness that was always there. In the next video, you'll discover what's left when all the lies of the ego disappear. We'll explore the I am that exists before any mask, any role, any identity. The you that never needed anything to be complete. There is a you that has never been hurt, that has never needed approval, that has never doubted your own worth. Ramana Maharshi called this pure I am, the consciousness that exists before you add any story to it. Before I am a failure, I am rejected, I am insufficient, there is only I am. If you feel like you've lost touch with who you really are beneath all the masks, what's coming now will show you the way back home, to the you that never left. Imagine a clean mirror. It reflects everything. Beautiful faces, sad faces, objects, movement, light, darkness. But the mirror never changes. It never becomes sad with a sad image. It never becomes beautiful with a beautiful image. It simply is. When you were a child, Before you learned that you had to be good, before you discovered that you could be rejected, you simply existed. You played, you observed the world, you were present, without needing a reason to be. Ramana realized that this simple presence never left you. It's here now, listening to these words, but you've learned to cover it with so many layers. I am smart, I am dumb, I am loved, I am alone, that you've forgotten the pure space where all these identities appear and disappear. If you've ever felt moments of inexplicable peace, where you weren't anyone in particular, you just were, you've touched that dimension, and it's never left you. The difference between the ego and the self is like the difference between waves and the ocean. The ego says, I am a big wave, I am a small wave, I am a breaking wave, I am a mighty wave, always defining itself, always comparing itself, always changing shape. But the pure I am is the ocean. It is not defined by the waves that appear on its surface. It simply is, infinite, unchanging, complete. Think about the difference between saying I am a doctor and simply I am. In the first case, you limit yourself to a profession. In the second, you recognize something limitless within yourself. When you say I am sad, you identify with a temporary state. When you realize you can observe sadness, you discover you are greater than it. You are not sadness. You are the space where sadness appears. Ramana discovered that we can investigate all our identities until we reach the core. I am Brazilian. Who knows they are Brazilian? I am intelligent. Who recognizes intelligence? I am wounded. Who observes the wound? There is always something left, a clear, calm awareness that is simply present to everything. And this consciousness, it has never been wounded by wounds. It has never been diminished by failures. It has never been enlarged by successes. It is like the sky, always blue, even when it is covered in clouds. The most liberating revelation, you don't need to become anything. You don't need to heal completely. You don't need to solve all your problems, because who you truly are has never had problems. The pure I am is not a goal to be achieved. It is what you are now, behind all identification. It's like looking for the glasses on your face. You already are what you're looking for. Ramana said it's impossible not to be yourself. You can pretend to be someone else, you can believe you are your stories, you can identify with your roles, but the real you, the consciousness that observes all of this, never goes on vacation. Deep pause. Here's the simplest and most revolutionary exercise. Stop right now and realize that you are conscious. You are aware that you are reading this. You are present. This presence you perceive, does it need any qualification? Is it better or worse depending on what you did yesterday? Does it change when your thoughts change? This simple, obvious presence that is always there, that is the I am. This is who you are before you add any story. And it can never be lost because it is who you are. The ego lives in time, always referring to the past or projecting itself into the future. But the I am lives in the eternal now. It has no history, no future, no problems to solve. When you rest in this simple presence, all the dramas of life continue to unfold. But you realize they are unfolding in you, not for you. Like movies playing on a screen. But you are the screen, not the movie. Final, welcoming tone. Ramana spent hours simply being, doing nothing, resolving nothing, becoming nothing. Just resting in the I am that never doubted its own worth. In the next video, we will learn practical exercises to distinguish when you are living from the ego or from the self, because recognizing who you are is just the beginning. Now you need to learn to live from that truth. There is an exercise Ramana used that is so simple it seems useless, and so powerful it can shatter every illusion you have about yourself. It's a 3-word question that works like acid to the ego. Each time you ask it, a layer of lies dissolves. And in the end, only the naked truth of who you really are remains. If you're tired of being fooled by your own mind, get ready. because you're about to learn the most devastating technique against illusion ever discovered. You're at the supermarket. The person in front of you has 15 items in the line of 10. You feel irritation rising, your shoulders tense. The voice in your head begins, "How rude. People don't respect anything anymore. I don't deserve this." Perfect timing. Ramana would say, stop everything and ask, who am I? Not who is angry. The ego quickly answers that. I am a polite person being disrespected. Not why am I angry? That becomes endless therapy. Simply, who am I? And then observe. Don't seek an intellectual answer. Don't create a philosophy. Just turn your attention to whoever is asking the question. Who is observing this irritation? Who is noticing this tension in the body? If you have never used a bad situation as a gateway to the truth, you have missed golden opportunities. Because it is precisely when the ego screams the loudest that you can see it most clearly. The exercise has 3 devastating phases. Phase 1, catching the ego in the act. Every time you feel strong emotion, anger, fear, sadness, even joy, stop and ask, who's feeling this? In traffic, when someone cuts you off, who felt disrespected? At work, when someone criticizes you, who felt attacked? When someone compliments you, who felt special? You'll find that there's always a character responding, the competent person, the wronged person, the important person. But who's watching this character perform? Phase 2. Dissolve identities. For each answer that comes, ask again, who knows what this is? I am an honest person. Who knows that he is honest? I am someone who has suffered a lot. Who observes this suffering? I am intelligent. Who recognizes intelligence? Ramana discovered that you can peel back infinite layers of identity, and there's always someone left watching. There's always a deeper consciousness that isn't any of the things it observes. Phase 3, the final surrender. When you reach the point where you can no longer answer who, when there is no identity left to hold on to, just rest there. Don't try to understand. Don't try to name. Just remain in the presence that asks the question. That presence that is not anything, but is aware of all things. The explosive truth. Exercise doesn't give you an answer. It destroys all false answers. When you truly investigate who am I, you discover that every identity you grasp crumbles in your hands. I am a father, but before being a father, you were one. I am Brazilian, but the consciousness that recognizes nationality has no nationality. I am this personality, but whoever observes personality traits is beyond them. It's like peeling an endless onion, layer after layer after layer, until you realize you were looking for the peeler, not the onion. Here's what will happen when you actually do this. There will come a time when the question, who am I, no longer makes sense, because you'll realize that the person asking the question is exactly who you're looking for. It's like searching for water when you are the ocean, like searching for light when you are the sun, like searching for consciousness when you are pure consciousness observing itself. Ramana said this exercise is like using a twig to stir fire. In the end, the twig burns out too. The question, who am I, destroys all false identities, and in the end, it destroys itself, because there's no one left to ask the question. The simplest exercise is the most revolutionary, because it goes straight to the core. It doesn't give you more knowledge, it removes false knowledge. It doesn't make you feel better. It reveals that you never needed to feel any way to be whole. Use every moment of turmoil as a laboratory. Every time the ego rears its head, defending itself, comparing itself, judging itself, ask, who? And watch as the identity that seemed so solid dissolves like sugar in water. Final tone, transformer. Ramana spent years doing just that, investigating who was investigating. And he discovered that at the heart of every search, every question, every doubt, there is a peaceful consciousness that has never doubted itself. In the next and final video, we'll explore how to live this discovery in the real world. How to be nobody and everybody at the same time. How to find the radical freedom of not needing to be any specific identity and still live fully. The greatest freedom is not being able to be whoever you want. It's discovering that you don't have to be anyone in particular to be complete. Ramana Maharshi lived this radical freedom. He was not a saint, he was not a guru, he was not a sage. He simply was, and in that simple existence, he became everything to everyone who encountered him. If you are exhausted from carrying so many identities, from trying to be so many things to so many people, what comes next will show you how to find rest in the only place where it truly exists, in being absolutely nothing. And precisely because of that, absolutely everything. Imagine if you woke up tomorrow and couldn't remember a single story about yourself. You didn't know your name, your profession, your successes, your failures. Would you be unhappy? Or would you be free? When Ramana was asked who he was, he would sometimes remain silent for minutes. Not because he didn't know the answer, but because any answer would be limiting. Was he a lawyer? No. A father? No. Indian? No. Man? Not even that. He was the consciousness that could be any of these things, but was not limited by any of them. Like space that can contain any object but is never defined by the objects it contains. Have you ever had moments, perhaps in nature, perhaps listening to music, perhaps in silence, where you completely forgot who you were supposed to be? Where you simply existed, needing no reason or justification? Those were the most real moments of your life, because in them, you touched who you truly are. Life changes completely when you discover that you can do everything without being nothing. You can work without being the worker. You can love without being the lover. You can suffer without being the victim. You can help without being the savior. All actions flow naturally, but you don't cling to the identities they create. Ramana called this action without an actor, life happening through you, but you are not possessed by it. Like a musical instrument, the music flows through it, but the instrument does not say, "I am this music." Consider the paradox. When you stop trying to impress, you become naturally impressive. When you stop seeking love, you become loving. When you stop trying to be special, your natural uniqueness emerges. Why? Because the ego is like a terrible actor, always forcing, always exaggerating, always trying to prove something. But the true self is like a master actor, so natural that you forget you're watching a performance. You may be a father, a professional, a friend, a partner, but these are clothes you wear, not your skin, and when you know they're clothes, you wear them lightly without choking yourself with them. The final revelation: you only truly become someone when you stop trying to be someone specific. When you no longer need to defend an image, you become transparent. And transparency is irresistible. People are drawn to you because they feel they can be themselves in your presence. You're not judging. You're not competing. You don't need anything from them. Ramana never tried to teach anyone. He simply was what he taught. People came from far and wide just to sit near him in silence. Because in the presence of someone who doesn't need to be anyone, you remember that you don't need to be either. Herein lies radical freedom. When you have no image to protect, you cannot be hurt. When you have no persona to maintain, you do not become exhausted. When you have no reputation to defend, you do not need to lie, not even to yourself. People will still see you as a doctor, a father, a friend, but you know these are just roles you play, not your true identity. It's like being an actor who knows they're not the character. You can give your all to the role, but when the play is over, you go home in peace. And home is the I am that never left home, that never needed to travel anywhere to be complete. This is the promise that Ramana discovered and lived. When you stop trying to be someone special, you discover that you are already something infinitely more precious than any limited identity. You discover that it is pure consciousness that allows all experiences to exist. You are the space where all feelings arise. You are the silence that allows all thoughts to be heard. The greatest revolution is not to change the world. It is to stop trying to be someone in the world and discover that you are what the world appears to you as. 'You are the stage, not the actor. You are the screen, not the actor. You are the stage, not the actor. You are the screen, not the actor. You are the stage, not the actor. You are the screen, not the actor. You are the stage, not the actor. You are the screen, not the actor. You are the stage, not the actor. You are the screen, not the actor. You are the stage, not the actor. You are the screen, not the actor. You are the stage, not the actor. You are the screen, not the actor. You are the stage, not the actor. You are the screen, not the actor. You are the stage, not the actor. You are the screen, not the actor. You are the stage, not the actor. You are the stage, not the actor. You are the screen, not the actor. You are the stage, not the actor. You are the stage, not the actor. You are the screen, not the actor. You are the stage, not the actor. You are the stage, not the actor. You are the screen, not the actor. You are the stage, not the actor. You are the stage, not the actor. You are the screen, not the actor. You are the stage, not the actor. You are the screen, not the actor. You are the stage, not the actor. You are not the film. You are the consciousness that observes the whole play of life, without ever being limited by any role it plays. Ramana spent the last years of his life simply being, no title, no function, no need to be understood or recognized. And in that radical simplicity, he became immortal, not because he built something great, but because he stopped building anything and discovered what was always there. If you've made it this far, maybe you're ready to stop carrying the weight of being someone and discover the infinite lightness of simply being, the I am that never needed a story to exist, that never needed approval to be valid, that never needed anything, because it already is everything.